Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Taekwondo Life Magazine Live. This is Master Marc Zirogiannis. I'm your host, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Taekwondo Life Magazine. Today, we are a member, of course, of the Believe Network. Today, we are talking about the upcoming, opening this Friday, actually, movie, RZA's One Spoon of Chocolate, a martial arts, violent, action, thought-provoking action film brought to you by Variance Films and available in theaters. And I suggest if you're into this movie, you see it in the theater on May 1st. Our review, which dropped yesterday, is called RZA's Most Visceral Vision Yet, a review of One Spoon of Chocolate. Now, let's talk real briefly about RZA. Obviously, he is a member of one of the founding members of the Wu-Tang Clan. So he certainly has a great background intertwined with martial arts and a love of martial arts. And that's really where I know him more than his music. I'm not as familiar with his music. So the name, for those of you that know this, which probably a lot of you do, but maybe some of you don't, the name Wu-Tang Clan actually comes from a 1983 martial arts film called Shaolin and Wu-Tang. RZA is a pretty strong aficionado of martial arts movies. He wrote the introduction to a book called These Bricks Don't Break, which is an excellent look at kung fu movies, which we reviewed, and you can check out our review. RZA also did, I believe, the soundtrack for Kill Bill. I don't know if his relationship with Quentin Tarantino preceded that, but they've done some terrific work since then in the martial arts world. Most notably was before this, The Man with the Iron Fists. A little bit of a different movie that was a little bit more fantasy-based, a little bit more kung fu-based. This movie's a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's a lot grittier and a lot more realistic. And it's a better film. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But now for a word from our sponsor. Okay, we're back. So let me give you the synopsis. RZA's One Spoon of Chocolate, this is what the official synopsis follows. The Unique, who is played by Shameik Moore, a veteran and ex-convict seeking a fresh start in the small town of Karensville, which is Ohio. After an altercation with a gang of hostile locals, he starts to suspect they have something to do with the disappearance of young black men in the area, including his cousin. As he digs for the truth, he finds himself the target of not just a gang, but the local sheriff's office, whose involvement in the disappearance may be even more sinister. Instead of waiting his turn to be picked off, him and those closest to him decide to fight back in this sharply satirical and stylish thriller from the visionary leader of the Wu-Tang Clan. Okay. And that is a pretty good synopsis, but let me tell you a little bit about it. It is a terrific, visceral, in some ways hard to see movie, in other ways a must-see movie. It's a partnership of him and Tarantino. And I think I said to somebody, I don't know if I wrote this in my review, it reminds me a lot of the world perspective and the worldview of the Ned and the Gimp and Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction. It's that look at the underbelly of the sickness that lives below the surface in many places in the United States and maybe even around the world, but the focus here is the United States. So the mainline story is a Shameik Moore's character, a guy named Unique, who apparently is a veteran, apparently has some anger management issues, and he ends up in this racist town in Ohio after being released from a New York State prison for 2 years. He's trying to get a fresh start and goes to stay with his cousin. And, he's a flawed guy, but he's good at heart. And that's where these backstories and side stories crossed together. This film is not a subtle film. Its action, its violence, its racism are very upfront. It's got a lot of layers. The brutality, not the martial arts brutality, but the other brutality and the racial aspects of it for me made it sometimes really, really hard to watch the film. But I also felt like I couldn't look away. The brutality of it is not gratuitous, and it is tempered by real humanity. I mean, this is really thoughtfully scripted and thoughtfully shot. It had me on the edge of my seat. It has really got a great climax in this movie. The acting is superior. Everybody, Shamik Moore, I didn't know him, but he's terrific in it. He plays a Western type character, almost like Clint Eastwood, strong, silent, good at his core, but flawed, revenge based. Paris Jackson, didn't know much about her other than, her family legacy. Phenomenal actress in this. Really gives a really nuanced performance. Blair Underwood, small part, but very impactful. The entire cast, even the bad guys in this movie, are just really, really good. RZA's direction is sharp. I noticed that they refer to him as the RZA in the movie, RZA in other places. So I don't want to disrespect him, but I know him as RZA, so I'm going to use that. It's visceral. It's brutal. It's watchable. The martial arts action and fighting and violence is much more realistic than The Man with the Iron Fists, although that was violent. But it is still really, really good. The martial arts and fight choreography are excellent between RZA, and apparently my reading on this tells me that Maurice Crump did some of the fight choreography, and he is the only American protege of Ong Bak creator Master Pan Riti Kare. I was saying that wrong, but we certainly know Ong Bak as a Tony Jaa masterpiece, and apparently the gentleman who did the weaponry in that movie worked in this movie. Shamik Moore is not unfamiliar with the martial arts. He's trained in Filipino martial arts styles and weapons under legendary master J.A. Crooms. And as a result, that makes the cinematography and the fight choreography really much better than it is in other movies. I'm not going to give the title of the movie's meaning away, but it actually is very, very impactful part of the movie. And it is probably the through line of, despite all of the hardship and evil in this movie, of optimism and hopefulness that you feel. If you can keep the title process and the title sequence in your mind. This is rated R. It's got nudity, sexual situations, hard violence, brutal racism. I don't think it's officially rated, but it'll certainly be an R. It's worthwhile. You should see it in the movies. I'm telling you, this is already the best list of 2026. And we've been so blessed because 2026 has probably been so far, we're only in May in a couple of days, the best year of martial arts films in a long time in the first 4 months of this year. So this is probably 1 or 2 on my list already, and it may not fall. But One Spoon of Chocolate, RZA's movie from Variance Films. Check it out in the theaters. I'm sure it'll follow in DVD and streaming. This is Master Mark. I will look forward to seeing you in the theater, in the dojang, and on the mats. We are a member of the Believe.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.